Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Shravanam Diaries Podcast.
We're continuing to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Chapter 11, The Universal Form, Text 53. Naham Vedarna Tapasa Nadanena Nachejaya Shakya Evam Vidho Drashtum Drashtavan Asimam Yatha. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing severe penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Very, very important point. Let's read this again. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing severe, serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Purport. Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a four-handed form. And then he transformed himself into the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand. Nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. One thing I love about Mayapur Academy, even though they teach how to do temple worship, they really don't teach you how to do it officially, They teach you how to do it from the heart. That's what I really value about Mayapur Academy. Because officially we can go to temple and do worship. That would be very official. But another word for official is, very external. And we're talking about something very deep in the heart, something close to the heart, something sincere. So Prabhupada says only through the path of devotional service. Service can be there, but is it very devotional? How devotional it is? So following in the footsteps of Jananivas Prabhu, Pankajangri Prabhu, that's how devotional service is supposed to be. That's the means of attaining or seeing Krishna as he is. Okay, Jai. Text 54. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya aham evam vidhorjuna gyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. The mysteries of Krishna's understanding. It's a real mystery, isn't it? Purport. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. Jai. He explicitly explains this in this verse, so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a four-handed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must, excuse me, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after new moon and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna, who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. Rupa Goswami, the most munificent man of charity, because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. Wow. By Rupa Goswami. Jai. So, and we are Rupanugas, so we're meant to follow in his footsteps. That was actually the topic of today's Q&A. Exactly, wow, I really like how it all matches. Yes, this is what we're meant to do. So, if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temple, in brackets, in the temples of India, there is always some statue, usually, of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deve parabra bhaktir yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite kathita hyartha prakashante mahatmanaha. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is especially used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. Wow, this is like a triple confirmation, right? No other process can be used, no other process can be recommended, and you can't be successful in any other process. So what is the process again? Unflinching devotion to the Lord and unflinching faith in the spiritual master. Then everything can be understood. And that's, it's not a cheap thing. It's not an easy thing sometimes in any situation of life to have that unflinching faith. I know I was in a situation where my faith was completely shattered and I didn't see it coming, and I didn't know that it's possible that you can destroy me on that level. But I was destroyed on that level, and it took me a long time of association with devotees, with Srila Prabhupada through his books, to understand that, wow, yeah, we will be tested. But there is no other way to understand Krishna. This is the way. Okay, the personal forms of Krishna, the two-handed form and the four-handed, are described as Sudarshanam. Sudurdarsham. I need to focus. Sudurdarsham, very difficult to see. Su means very. Durdarsham. Dur means difficult. Darsham, to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form of Narayana and the two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The words Tvad Anyena Nadrishta Purvam, text 47, state that before Arjuna no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that among the devotees there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so that in the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous verse, indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as an academic education in Vedic literature. One must take to the devotional service of Krishna. Only then can one attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana, and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original two-handed Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms, what to speak of the impersonal conception. As far as the four-handed forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean, and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.48. Yasyaika nishvasita kalamathavalambhya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha vishnurmahansa iha yasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Quote, the Mahavishnu, into whom all the innumerable universes enter, and from whom they come forth again simply by his breathing process, is a plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore, I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Unquote. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation, and He is the original Supreme Personality, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literature Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.1, the following statement appears. Sachit Ananda Rupaya Krishnaya Klishta Karinei Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshinei. Quote, I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who has a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to Him, because understanding Him means understanding the Vedas, and He is therefore the Supreme Spiritual Master. Unquote. Then it is said, Krishna vai paramam daivatam. Quote, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unquote. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.3. Eko vashi sarvagah ha Krishna idyah. Quote, that one Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He is worshipable. Unquote. Ekopi san bahudhayo va bhati. Krishna is one, but He is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnations. Unquote. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.21. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakara Nakaranam. Quote, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has a body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has no beginning, for He is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. Elsewhere it is said, Yatra Vatirnam Krishna Kyam Param Brahmanara Kriti. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna, and He sometimes descends on this earth. Unquote. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find the description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that this Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Ete cham shakalach pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Matah parataram nanyat. Quote, there is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead, Krishna. Unquote. He also says elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Ahamadirhi Devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words. Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Quote, I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Unquote. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands is manifested just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in His original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship. This form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing, rather it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities, but to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most dear. Okay, we're going to stop here for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow.